Yeah, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the show, Tuesday, July 22nd, coming off a big night where we are now over $40,000 in money raised for St. Jude. Tell you about that later. Yes, thank you, everybody who participated, signed up last night for the FFT Open. Plenty of spots still available. All right, Adam Azer, Dave Richard, Jamie Eisenberg. We are talking about our favorite values in drafts right now based on different ADPs. I say, you know what, use whatever ADP you want because they're different, and we can learn something from all of it. Jamie used Fantasy Pros ADP. Dave used CBS ADP, which he says is changing every day, which is good. Good to see. We want that. We want those movers, risers, and fallers. So we'll get some of their favorite values. We'll kind of run through them, and we'll read your emails at fantasyfootball@cbsi.com. And good morning, guys. How we doing?
Great.
Chilling. I was gonna say chilling. That's so weird.
Wow. Yesterday we wore the same shirt. Today we almost had the same greeting.
Yes. Well, you missed, Dave. Adam and I were matching for about a week, almost every day.
Yeah.
Not the same shirt, but like same color.
Yeah. All right. Let's get.
I was gonna say I did Chris Harris's podcast last night, and thank you to his audience. I just wanted to give him a shout out because he was one of the first people to sell out his league for the FFT Open, and it's the first time he's doing this part of the Draftathon to help us out. He's usually been a big contributor, so. Thank you to his audience, and thank you to our audience as well for all the donations.
Yeah, get into it a little bit more later because there's some other stuff that you can bid on. And we have a live stream tonight at 7 p.m., right? 7 p.m. Eastern.
Yes, it's covering the first donation mock draft. I don't know how to phrase it. The first mock draft of the people who donated for St. Jude. So should be fun. I'll be drafting with 11 other people. Dave and I will be giving some analysis on it, and should be a good time.
Draftathon mock draft.
There you go. Mock draftathon.
There it is.
All right. Let's get to some of your favorite values. Just give me two. Dave, why don't you start?
Bucky Irving, 42.4 on CBS. What the hell are you guys thinking letting a running back like this fall into round 4? I think he's a round 2 pick. I think he can be sensational in Tampa Bay's offense. Fully expect him to break away as the lead running back. He's got room to improve. There were only 3 games last year, including the playoffs, where he played at least 60% of the snaps. He was below that mark in all of his other games, and he was an absolute terror against defenses. So I love that one. The other one that I love a lot, and I don't think this one's going to stick at all. I want to talk about where we think his ADP will be, and he's in the news. It's Stefon Diggs, now with the Patriots. His ADP on CBS, currently 111th overall. No way is he going to stay that low, but he's going to be the number 1 receiver for an ascending quarterback in Drake Maye. He is not on the PUP list. I think it's weird that I am so into a 30-plus-year-old wide receiver coming off of a torn ACL, but it sounds like he's back to his old self. I think the target volume will be there. I like Drake Maye to improve. I'm actually going to go to a joint practice that they're participating in, and I can't wait to study this offense. I think it's going to be really, really exciting. Should be better than it was last year with Josh McDaniels calling the shots. And I think Stefon Diggs has a chance to have a major bounce back year.
I've done probably about 50 drafts. I've never seen Bucky Irving outside of the second round. Well, early third.
I'll get to that in a minute. I just want to say, Dave, I love everything you said there. Yeah, I was going to bring that up on both Fantasy Pros and Football Guys ADP, which takes in different websites, aggregates ADP. Bucky Irving is more like 20th overall. So
what the hell's wrong with our drafters?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if he's low in the projections or something like that, but it's not going to make it to round 4. Are you comfortable with Bucky Irving?
Top 20.
Yeah, 22 on Fantasy Pros, 20th on Football Guys.
That's more realistic.
Yeah, it makes me a touch nervous there, but you're cool with it. Okay. I mean, look, I think just about anyone would make me a little bit nervous. It's a high stakes pick, right? So I get it, but Stefon Diggs, I love everything you said about Stefon Diggs, and he's going closer to 90th, 88th, 90th on the other websites, and he's 110th on CBS.
Round 6-7 turn?
You did say no. Is it?
Yes.
7-8 turn. Oh, 6-7 turn.
I think if you can get him at the 7-8 turn, that's awesome. I'll go around higher than that, provided that there's no setback whatsoever between now and week 1.
That is the 6-7 turn, isn't it? Yeah. No, it's
too
soon.
6-7.
No. The end of round 6 is 72 overall. The end of round 7 is 84 overall. It's the 7-8 turn. Okay, but he's more like mid round 8.
Yeah, that's a great value. I will take him all day long at that value.
You said the only thing I think you said that maybe you might want back is that he looks like he's back to his old self or something like that.
It's what the reports say. He's moving around really well.
There's no way he's going to be the old Steph. He's 32 coming off a torn ACL.
I know it sounds ridiculous.
There's huge risk here.
He can't, like, at his best, he's not going to be a 1,500, 12. He's not going to be top 5 wide receiver.
No, but he could get to 75 catches. He could top 1,000 yards. Won't be 1,100.
You have a few things at play here. You have the knee injury that we know this typically takes a year plus to get back to your old self. So it's great that he's ahead of schedule.
Right.
But he's going to, as you said, he's going to be 32 in November. And he's probably going to see more time on the outside than he was in the last couple of seasons. And will that be a benefit to him playing with Drake Maye? So I think this is an appropriate spot for a guy. I think his projection Sportsline, if you're looking at YouTube, 43rd receiver, I'd probably put him like maybe as high as 37, 38. Like I don't want to draft him as a starter in a 3 receiver league. I'd rather just take a chance on some of the younger players there. It's a great opportunity for him, and he should be the target leader, but there's still so many pitfalls that could happen for this guy.
All right. So let's say round 8, we're comfortable with Stefon Diggs, right?
I'd throw a party if I got him in round 8.
At the earliest round 8.
But you're still talking about, Ricky Pearsall and Jawan Jennings are coming around that time, Cooper Kupp. Are you throwing a party over those guys, like to take Diggs over those guys?
I've got Diggs ahead of those guys as of now.
All right. I didn't realize you were so. I didn't realize you were digging him so much.
I'd rather have the 49ers guys. The Kupp one's an interesting comparison, just because again, another older receiver coming off of an injury. We just don't know what role he's going to play for Seattle. I would hope Diggs gets more opportunities, more targets, more everything. But wouldn't be surprised if Kupp is on par, if not better. And
2 weeks from now, I might be coming back here eating all kinds of crow. I guess I just really need to see it for myself, and I will. And I'm just, based on the reports and what I see out of New England, the fact that he's not even on the PUP list and not limiting him at all. And he was working in drills during minicamp. I don't know what got into Stefon Diggs to help him come back from an October ACL tear, but it's working.
Yeah. I think I wish I could find the story again, but I read an article about Cortland Sutton in 2021, and I'm going to keep talking about this, right? It was an article glowing about how good he looked coming off the torn ACL. He tore his ACL in week 1 of 2020. I got him as having played 1 game in 2020.
Yeah, it was like early. It's Pittsburgh, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so week 1 or 2 of 2020. I thought it was week 1. I'd like to make a bet about this. Can we make a bet?
What's the bet?
Sure. I'll let you off of the picture you have to hang.
No, I want to do that, but I already won the Rafael Devers Jazz Chisholm bet, so I'm
have you?
I think so. I haven't looked, but I think Jazz been really good. I just said that with a lot of confidence, but I was faking the confidence. Anyway, it was, Sutton's back. He looks so good, blah, this and that. And he had 58 catches for 776 yards and 2 touchdowns in 17 games that year. So again, you're always going to hear how good these guys look, but you don't hear until the following year. Well, he wasn't really right that year. You know what I'm saying? It's always going to be these.
What was Godwin's numbers coming off the ACL?
Not good at all.
Yeah,
but that was also, that was not the year that he was playing in the slot. So the ACL, I think, was 2020. In 2021, he averaged. No, when did you got to tell me when he tore his ACL? Because I always forget.
I think it was 21.
Torn ACL in 2021, December 2021. The following year, Chris Godwin averaged only 68.2 yards per game. Is not bad, but that was down 10 yards per game. He was down 1.5 yards per target. In fact, career low in yards per target and yards per catch by quite a bit for Chris Godwin.
And the 2 guys that you're referencing, at least, small sample size, much younger than Stefon Diggs.
Yeah,
it's true.
All right. I'm sorry. So anyway, Jamie, your 2 favorite values.
I'll go with Darnell Mooney, who's somebody I'm probably going to have a lot of exposure to. Just excited about the situation in Atlanta where they're going to get funnel targets to those 2 receivers. And then the other one would be Justin Fields. Based on the Fantasy Pros ADP's QB 14, it's just, too much upside there to not be looking at him as a potential starter. For me, he's a top 10 quarterback. So if I can get him outside the top 12, I'll be thrilled about that.
You're using Fantasy Pros. Darnell Mooney is wide receiver 49 at 111th overall.
I would take Mooney over Diggs personally.
I was about to ask that.
Yeah.
That is a spicy take. I think
that.
Sure.
That's going to be definitely, you're in the minority there, I would have to say. Taking.
Well, obviously, I mean, based on average draft position, we haven't even done anything yet. Most drafts haven't happened.
Yeah. Why? Why Mooney over Diggs?
I just like to say I'm a Penix believer. I think this is going to be good for this offense. So I expecting a little bit of a boost for what Mooney did a season ago. And you have, it's a rare situation where you have the lottery ticket wide receiver. If there's no Drake London for any stretch of games, we saw what it was for one game with London without Mooney on the field last year when he had the huge Week 18 performance. It's just I like the situation. There's a lot of opportunity for him here. I think he's going to get about a 20 to 30 target boost because of this offense. I think their defense is going to be absolutely terrible. The young guys, the young pass rushers are going to take some time. Secondary is going to be a mess. They're going to see a lot of shootouts for Atlanta. So just excited about the entire Falcons offense minus Kyle Pitts because he's Pitts. But in terms of London and Mooney and obviously Bijan, I think it's going to be a fun season for the Falcons.
I like where your head's at. And the thing that's cool about Penix with Mooney compared to Cousins is the stronger arm, the willingness to throw it deeper. We know that Mooney is a deep ball guy. I kind of feel like he's the man beater of that offense. And I don't know how often they're going to play a lot of teams that are going to go heavy man-to-man coverage against them. I'm just thinking about the defenses in that division. I don't know how many of them are actually going to do that type of thing, especially with Bijan Robinson running behind that offensive line. And I agree with you on the defense. I think their defense, both their rookie pass rushers, are going to have to play really well this year for that defense to step up and be a problem. I get where you're coming from. Mooney had 12.1 PPR points per game last year. Can he be better than that as the number 2 guy in Atlanta? That's where I struggle. And I think Diggs can be better than 12.1. So let's make a bet. The winner gets their picture on Adam's background.
Oh, man. By the way, these bets are just silly, right? Like no one actually cares because I lost the Sutton bet. He missed week 1 with a shoulder injury, and then he played week 2 and tore his ACL. So
Pittsburgh, right?
Yeah, it was Pittsburgh. Trying to tackle Joe Hayden. All right, so you heard Justin Fields.
2 pictures now you have to put up?
Could be the same person.
We highlight Justin Fields as always being a top 12 quarterback when he's healthy.
Yeah.
And he's going as QB 14 on Fantasy Pros, and Darnell Mooney for Jamie. Also Stefon Diggs and Bucky Irving for Dave. Okay. We'll get into the news and notes. Talk to you real quick about Draftathon. FFT Open. If you did not get into one of our leagues, I know they sold out pretty quickly. Me, Dave, Jamie, Heath, Dan. I think Jacob is sold out. I believe Schaefer, you sold out. Sell out. Yeah, I think Schaefer sold out. Scott Fish sold out his league. Chris Harris sold out his league. There are plenty of spots left and plenty of more money to be raised. I understand it's cool to play with us. And
correct me if I'm wrong, we're still auctioning off podcast league spots.
Yeah, not yet, but at some point, yes.
Right.
Podcast league spots will be available.
And Heath is going to do his Dynasty League, right?
Heath is starting a new Dynasty League. So that will be available at some point in August, I believe. I don't hold me to that, but yes, we have a lot more opportunities to play fantasy with us. But if you just want to get in the FFT Open and donate $250 to St. Jude, there are plenty of spots available. I'm not going to spend too much time on that.
Well, I don't know if everybody's aware of this, especially people who didn't play in it last year. You can still compete against us even if you're not in our league because the winner of every league plays each other.
Exactly. And we're all going to win our league. Dave, Jamie, Heath, we're all going to win our leagues. So we'll see you in the playoffs. All right. We have podcast awards. Please go to podcastawards.com or podcastawards.com/app/sign up and vote for fantasy football today in the sports and the people's choice category. If you'd like, we'd love to win this award. We can't do it without you. podcastawards.com/app/sign up. And tonight, join Jamie and Dave at 7 p.m. Eastern, youtube.com/fantasy football today. for our live stream with Jamie and 11 fans. So not exactly only fans on this one, doing a 12-team mock draft. And you can also, if you want to be part of the next mock draft, you can purchase that next Tuesday night. You can purchase that on our Draft-a-thon page, which is tinyurl.com/2025FFT.
What's that donation?
That is a $50 donation to be in the mock draft.
Oh.
Or $150 if you want the featured spot, which I think is already sold out, and you get a little write-up and whatnot. But all right, sorry. URL, tinyurl.com/2025FFT, youtube.com/fantasyfootballtoday tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern, and podcastawards.com/app/sign up, or just go to podcastawards.com. And we are going to go to COMMERCIALBREAK.com. We'll be right back. BACK. Man, spelling on the spot is not easy, is it? DAVE. Nailed it. All right.
Give me a word.
Mercurial.
MERCURIAL.
Bam. Terrific. Okay, Stefon Diggs.
You're looking at the Indiana Elementary School spelling bee champion of 1987.
How about couch?
K.
Are you going to the ball? I was hoping you were going to go for that.
That was couch. R.
I think so. I think it was.
Are you excited about Happy Gilmore too?
Yeah,
I am too. But I'm scared it's going to be so repulsive.
I'm more
excited. If it is though. I mean, it's it's one of those movies like you kind of want to just see.
Yeah, but I wanted to, like, I watched Happy Gilmore 200 times. I want to watch Happy Gilmore 200 times too. But if it sucks, I won't make it to 2 times.
Yeah, or tea time.
Like Coming to America 2 should have been.
I watched that.
Yeah. So should have been so much better.
We're looking forward to the Naked Gun. All right, Stefon Diggs clear to practice. Green Bay signed right tackle Zach Tom to a 4-year, $88 million extension. So good news for the Bucs. Tristan Wirfs could be back sooner than expected. He might not miss the first 4 games as we anticipated. So that's great news. They're a star left tackle. Chargers signed Nyheim Hines, who's recovering from a torn ACL in 2023. He's missed the last 2 years. I don't think this is particularly fantasy relevant. And Cincinnati defensive end Trey Hendrickson is not going to report to camp today as he seeks a new contract. But we did get from their offensive coordinator, Dan Pitcher, that Chase Brown will be a focal point of the offense, which is great to see. Do you guys like Chase Brown or Bucky Irving better?
Bucky slightly. They're back-to-back.
Yep.
Are they also back-to-back for you, Dave?
They are. The tiebreaker for me was schedule. And what I said earlier about Bucky potentially doing more with more playing time, Chase Brown already has been playing 80% of the snaps. That was last year. A little bit worried about him coming down to like 70% because the Bengals will use some of their other veteran running backs in lesser situations, non-high value situations. I'm not scared off of Chase Brown because of Zach Moss or Samaje Perine, but those guys are going to play a little. But that schedule, man, they're going to play against Baltimore twice, Pittsburgh twice, Cleveland twice. They have other tough defenses. I really, when I do my schedule analysis, Adam, that's what I use for tiebreakers. And this is one of those tiebreakers. Give me Bucky in the NFC South with more room to grow his numbers versus Chase Brown.
Okay. I never got to talk to you about this with Bucky Irving. It came up on a recent show, but I mentioned some of the other day 3 or undrafted picks who had really good rookie years in terms of yards per carry, because Bucky Irving was sensational at 5.4 yards per carry. And in a lot of cases, in several cases, they were drafted pretty high the next year. So I'll tell you, Kerryon Johnson was one of them. Kerryon Johnson, he averaged 5.4 yards per carry as a rookie, just like Bucky Irving. Okay. And his ADP in year 2 was 29th overall. And then he averaged 3.6 yards per carry in 8 games. Thomas Rawls, he averaged even more yards per carry than Bucky Irving. He was, 5.6 yards per carry. Second season, 3.2 yards per carry. His ADP was 43rd. Ontario Smith went from 5.4 yards per carry to 4.4 yards per carry. I don't have his ADP. So
He's the one that's famous for the Wizinator, right?
Yes. He missed his third season for a violation of the substance abuse policy and did not play again. I don't know if it was, I don't remember that specifically.
Do you know what the Wizinator is, Adam?
No.
I want you to Google. You definitely will remember when you Google image the Wizinator.
Okay.
Share your screen too.
It's ridiculous.
Oh man. Okay, so just wanted to bring that up. Also, Bucky Irving, one of the lowest percentages of third down route percentage in the NFL among running backs.
And I would imagine it's going to stay that way through at least the first third of the season, and maybe all season, because that's where they can trust Rachaad White to play well. Is on passing downs. He's the better pass protector. But what they get in protecting Baker on third downs, they lose of having a playmaker on the field of Bucky's caliber. The other thing I'll mention is outside of a couple of rare talents at running back, we've seen NFL teams take a little bit longer to dig into that position on draft day. So maybe in years past, Bucky would have been a day 2 pick, but because teams don't prioritize running back, a lot of good talent at that position. This is really more over the last few years. They start to fall into day 3 because they're not as prioritized for teams. Last year was interesting. What didn't work out quite that way. Last draft, I should say, back in April. Didn't quite work out that way. We had a lot
I'm just cracking up about the Wizinator. I haven't been listening for the last 30 seconds. Scott Fish is in the chat today. He says, Adam, do not Google that. Too late. Scott Fish, thank you for being part of the FFT Open. All right. Those are your news and notes. Let's go back to
I don't know if he was referring to that or what Johnny Airport said to Google.
Oh, yeah, no, Johnny Airport. I will not be Googling that. Pretty sure I know what that is. Favorite values. Jamie, you said Fields and Mooney. So we're going to go through, just give me a little overview. Give me a 30 to 40 second, bam. Travis Hunter, 72nd overall on Fantasy Pros, wide receiver 34.
I think the more positive reports we get about him playing offense, no matter how he's looking, is going to drive his ADP up significantly. So he's a top 24 receiver for me right now at number 24. To get him at this point in the draft would be very exciting for me.
Where are you comfortable taking Travis Hunter?
Round 5.
Okay. Would you rather have Travis Hunter or Jamison Williams?
Travis Hunter.
Dave?
JMO, but it's close, and I agree with the round 5 suggestion in full PPR.
Next up for Jamie, it's Dak Prescott, 91st overall, QB 12 on Fantasy Pros.
Yeah, similar to Justin Fields. He's a top 10 quarterback for me. I have him at 9, just ahead of Fields. We know what Dak has been prior to last year. He was basically 23 plus fantasy points per game for his past 5 seasons. So I think just return to health, the addition of George Pickens, defense that may put him in some shootouts, and a run game that could be absolutely atrocious. So I like the setup for Dak a lot. He's going to be obviously limited in terms of his running. At least that's what I would expect, again, coming off the hamstring injury. But when he's healthy, he's been one of the more underrated fantasy quarterbacks, and I think he will once again.
Yeah. And he averaged 37 pass attempts per game in his 7 healthy games. And they just always throw a lot. So, all right, Dak Prescott. Would you rather have Dak Prescott or Bo Nix?
At this price, I'd much rather have Dak Prescott, but I do have Nix ranked 1 spot ahead of Dak.
I'm in the exact same boat. Do we know the ADP for Bo Nix?
Absolutely. We'll use Fantasy Pros for this. He's going 81st overall as QB 8. So it's, a round and a half, 2 rounds.
And he might outperform.
I'm sorry. That's only 10 picks earlier. I got it confused with Justin Fields. So let's say it's a round later. Now it's a decision. Would you rather have Bo Nix in round 7 or Dak Prescott in round 8?
Dak in round 8.
Yeah, the value's better. I'd rather have that.
Because what I would do is in this scenario, if you're following the ADP in terms of your draft board, and I know I can still get Fields if I miss on those 2 guys, or I can still get Kyler if I miss on those 3 guys, and then you just continue the sliding scale. There's just a lot of good quarterbacks. So if I'm not comfortable taking Bo Nix in round 7 because the other players that are available, which would be the case, then I would just wait.
All right, Jordan Mason, who if you want to keep playing the Rock team name game, you can pair him with Jack Besh. You got a lot of the Rock there. But Jordan Mason, 108th overall, RB 38.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very concerned about Aaron Jones this year. age 30 season, played through some significant injuries last year, which was great. But I just keep going back to what Kevin O'Connell said before they acquired Jordan Mason and before they even re-signed Jones right before free agency, when he was on the radio interview saying they felt that Jones is better off in a tandem and not getting as much work as he did last year with career high in terms of carries and touches. So I just think we could see a situation where Jones is taking a step back. And if he misses any time, Jordan Mason could be an absolute star. He was great last year as the starter for the 49ers to open the season. I think he'll be used more in the passing game in Minnesota if he does get that role in terms of being the starter, I think. But even in the shared situation, we're going to see maybe him as the goal line guy. So he's just one of those good potential flex plays in a secondary role, but a league winner if he ever gets a chance to start.
And I think, I don't know how you feel about this, but if somebody's going, well, he was great in San Francisco, but every running back's great in San Francisco. I think the success of Raheem Mostert haven't been a lot, right? But I know he went to the same system in Miami, but do you think the Minnesota system is set up for that same kind of success for a running back?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, you saw Aaron Jones, thrive going from Matt LaFleur to Kevin O'Connell, similar tree. I think you'll see the same thing for Jordan Mason, and look, trying to think, has there been a good sample size of some of these backups going other places from San Francisco?
No, I mean, I can think of Jeff Wilson and Mostert, and that's it. I think Wilson was solid too,
Right, but they went to the same place. I'm thinking of even Shanahan guys, Mike Shanahan guys, back.
You
want
to go? Mike Shanahan guys.
That I wouldn't be able to tell you.
they were all broken down by the time they were on their second team.
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking of we need a plug and play guy. He does well, and then he goes someplace else. I don't think there's a lot of those.
All right. So after Jordan Mason on Jamie's list. Oh, by the way, Jordan Mason's going back to back with Javonte Williams in Fantasy Pros ADP. Who do you prefer?
Yeah, I would take a chance on Javonte first, but they're close in my rankings.
Yep.
Javonte right now is again, I still think he's in contention for steal of the draft right now. We have no idea what it's going to look like, but you might be getting the Cowboys starting running back after pick 100.
I do think if we get some sort of he's the guy, you'll see he'll be one of the biggest risers.
Yep.
He will.
How do you think he could go?
Right.
I would think he would go in that Tony Pollard, Pacheco, Aaron Jones, this range, of the mid to late 20s.
That's round 6.
And I recall what happened the year that Mostert had all those touchdowns. Did someone get hurt in the preseason? Did they release someone? Was it Jeff Wilson that got hurt in the preseason?
No, Wilson was added at the end of.
Didn't they trade for him?
They traded for Wilson.
The end of the previous season,
2022.
Right? No. They traded for him that was when Achane got hurt. They traded for Wilson.
Well, I just remember Mostert's big season was 2023. So no, I think Wilson was on the team in 2023. He got traded to the Dolphins in 2022. I feel like he got hurt at the beginning of
Chase Edmonds.
So hold on a second.
They added Edmonds from
Arizona. This is exactly what happened.
That was 2021.
Hold on, guys. I got this. 2022, Jeff Wilson got traded to the Dolphins. Mostert was there at that point. In 2023, there was a preseason injury to Jeff Wilson. And I remember I think it happened the day we were doing a draft. And I remember taking Mostert and feeling like maybe I took him a little bit too early. And obviously he ended up being my best pick and he scored 18 touchdowns that year. But I feel like that could happen to Javonte where he would rise, but he could still outperform his ADP big time. If he's
or even this spot could be too soon if it's Jayden Blue or Miles Sanders. There's a lot of ways this can go.
Yeah, I wouldn't regret any pick after pick 100, I guess, even if he's plus. But okay, and then we have David Njoku as one of your favorite values, 109th overall, tight end 9.
So there's two news items. I don't know if you mentioned. There's a report in Cleveland that Dylan Gabriel could be in the mix and Kenny Pickett could be the starter to open camp. Those two, the top two in the depth chart. I don't buy it, but that would be bad, I think, for all the pass catchers in Cleveland. So I'm hoping it's Joe Flacco and that it was just those guys look good in OTAs and minicamp, including Shedeur Sanders, and that Flacco just didn't need all the reps. But clearly, for a guy that's over 40, you got to be a little bit concerned that he's guaranteed the job. So we'll see how this all plays itself out. But the more secure quarterback situation in Cleveland, the better off it'll be for all the pass catchers, Njoku included. So basically, though, he's been good with everybody but Deshaun Watson in the last 3 seasons.
He's been good because he's catching a bunch of short passes and check downs, and he's getting good volume with it. So even if it's Pickett, even if it's Gabriel, if they're serviceable throwers and they look for Njoku and the plays are designed for Njoku, I still think Njoku could be north of 11 PPR points per game. And if you're getting that with the 90 whatever pick overall, that's good for a tight end. It's not amazing, but you could start him each week.
What if I said I will not draft any Browns because I think they're going to be one of the worst teams in the world?
I mean, it's probably not a bad strategy. I find myself taking too many Browns because the value just seems to be great for almost all of them.
Yeah.
Especially at this point, like you're still getting huge discounts on Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford. And with the Judkins situation being so uncertain, like one of those two guys, if not both, could be flex-worthy plays, if not maybe a number 2 running back. Njoku, I mean, if you just look at the production, like he should be going as a top 5 or 6 tight end, but everybody's scared off of the Browns. Judy is very polarizing still. You're getting him in a lot of cases as a mid number 3 receiver, as opposed to, production wise is probably a solid number 2 receiver if you're building off what he did last year. And then Tillman's free. I listed him as well. He's he's the
last guy on your list, Cedric.
Yeah. Again, just another guy have
Tillman.
A lot of exposure to, just because again he's almost exactly what you just said. Anybody after pick 100, well, anybody after pick 150, he gets off the slow start, easy to cut him. He's just so much upside in that 3-game sample size that we saw without Amari Cooper.
But I'd be more nervous about those wide receivers with Pickett and especially Gabriel than Flacco. So kind of crazy that it's 2025 and we're hoping for Joe Flacco to rescue the fantasy value of Judy, Njoku, and Tillman.
Tillman, by the way, would have a very niche superpower, because till, according to the dictionary, is to prepare and cultivate land for crops. So you would want him on your farm. By the way, I didn't say that I am avoiding all Browns. I just said, what if I said that? Because people are like, kind of assuming that's what I meant, but I will just say, I'll have you know where the Browns ranked in points per game last year?
33rd.
32nd. They were dead last, 14.3 points per game. Yet that didn't mean they didn't have fantasy relevant.
What were they in the Jameis games?
Yeah, not 33rd. But they still had fantasy relevant players, so but that being said, you don't want to target the worst offense in football.
There's something to be said for passing on players on teams that you don't expect to put up a lot of points. And Cleveland would certainly be one of them. New Orleans would be one of them. We could list off a half dozen other teams. You could almost figure out the teams yourselves. Yeah. It's pretty easy to just take a step back on those guys and say, there's not going to be as many touchdowns to go around. They're not going to be as good. Get them off your list.
All right, so Jamie's favorite values right now on Fantasy Pros are Travis Hunter, 72nd overall as wide receiver 34. Dak Prescott, 91st overall. I'm going to talk a little bit more about him when we get to our emails. QB 12 for Prescott. Justin Fields, 102nd overall, QB 14. Jordan Mason, 108th overall, RB 38. David Njoku, 109th overall, tight end 9. Oh, boy, Jamie wants a lot of... If only he could have 3 picks in round 9. Get all those guys. Darnell Mooney, 4 picks in round 9. 111th overall, wide receiver 49. And Cedric Tillman on the farm, 156th overall, wide receiver 61. Back after this with Dave's favorite values on Fantasy Football Today.
Here we go. The 2025 CBS Sports NFL schedule is here. 18 glorious Sundays.
He's got his receiver touchdown.
Filled with rematches.
Oh, the play of the year.
And rivalries.
Touchdown, Bengals.
Plus, plenty of superstar showdowns. And an epic matchup between the Chiefs and Cowboys on Thanksgiving. Clear your Sundays beginning September 7th for the NFL on CBS and Paramount.
We're back. Someone in the chat said I should learn how to talk like Howard Cosell. So I could give that a shot. I just have to listen to him. I know what he sounds like, but I need to hear it back. But Dave, why? No, I don't have it yet.
No.
Dave, why don't we go to your. Why don't I do it right from the jump there? Why don't we go to your list here? You like Derrick Henry, 21st overall. This is CBS ADP. I'll compare it to Fantasy Pros.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's worth talking about Henry if his Fantasy Pros ADP is like 13th or higher.
That's where he is on both sites. He's right around 13th.
Okay. And that's where he should be going in full PPR. Non-PPR, he's an easy first-round pick. I had this conversation with my wife. My wife follows football. She's not a total idiot when it comes to football. And I said, can you make the argument against Derrick Henry other than he's old? And she thought about it and she goes, well, he doesn't catch a ton of passes. I said, so he scores a ton of touchdowns. He's in the best offense for what he does. I don't think I can do it. I don't think there's an argument to be made against Derrick Henry other than age.
I would go sell, would agree with you, Dave.
Oh, gosh.
All right, let's move on then. Bucky Irving was next on your list.
Right.
And
40.4. He's never going there.
Yeah, moving on. But a guy who is going there is Alvin Kamara, because on Fantasy Pros, on Football Guys, on CBS, Alvin Kamara is about 44th-ish overall. So we're talking about a round 4 pick, late round 4 in some cases. And he's 47th on CBS. So talk to me about Kamara.
So the idea of passing on players on bad teams, the trump card for that is, what about players that catch a lot of passes and it's full PPR? That can be an equalizer, and that's exactly what's happening with Alvin Kamara. Yeah, he's older, 30 years old. We know that we should be scared of running backs when they turn 30. But last year, he averaged 19 PPR points per game. Year before that, he was at almost 18 PPR points per game. So he went up. We've seen him routinely get north of 17 PPR points per game. It's because of the target volume that he gets. Last year, 6.4 targets per game. Now he's got a better play caller in Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore definitely has a track record of throwing to his running backs, regardless of what you saw in Philadelphia last year. We know that he's done that previously, and he will take advantage of that. This offense isn't going to be great, but they've got a sure thing at running back with Alvin Kamara. And there's no Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill is still sidelined with his ACL injury. I'm not sure if he's going to play at all this year. There's not going to be any stealing of touchdowns by Taysom Hill. That'll open the door for Alvin Kamara to get more than the 8 total touchdowns that he had last year. I love this value. I kind of don't mind getting him a little bit ahead of ADP because I think he'll be so involved in what the Saints do that he can make up for whatever lack of huge upside or ceiling that he would normally have, that we would take away from him because he's older, because he's on the Saints. I think he can still come through in a big way in full PPR and even half PPR leagues. Love this value for A to the K.
My favorite thing about Kamara is he played 4 games last year with Spencer Rattler, and 3 of them he scored 17 plus PPR points.
Bang.
So as bad as it
Let's do this.
could have been.
Yeah. Let's talk about this because we had this debate on Express, right, Jamie?
I think so.
Okay, so let's expand it to the larger audience. And even though the Express episodes are in this feed, maybe you've all heard this before, but I want to get Dave's take on it. Because I pushed back on that a little bit. While it is 100% true that he did score 17 or more fantasy points in 3 or 4 games without Derek Carr, he had 13 carries in a 51-27 loss, 7 carries in a 33-10 loss, 10 carries in a 26-8 loss, and 5 carries in a game that he actually left early and still scored 17 fantasy points in a 20-19 loss, actually. But so my concerns when I look at that, Alvin Kamara scored 17 or more fantasy points in 3 or 4 games without Derek Carr. My concerns are the carries were extremely low. So much of it was cashes, but more so than that, Chris Olave played 1 game. No, I see you, Dave. Chris Olave played 1 game. Rashid Shaheed played 1 game. So he never did this with the full complement of receivers on the field, and he was the only freaking guy on the offense that warranted any touches. So that's why, like Jamie pointed out, they're not going to get blown out by that much every single game. It'll be more competitive. We'll have more carries. I thought that was a great point. But no, it won't be like a 30-point loss every time. It was
not every time. They'll be competitive in a bunch of their games, but this do they win 5 games this year?
No, I don't think so. I think they're the worst team.
Yeah, this is another team with a suspect defense, and obviously everybody knows that the quarterback situation is pretty lousy as of now.
And that's
I didn't say this.
It's only receptions. I can't see anything else. I don't think he's going to score a lot of touchdowns. Like I even though Taysom Hill is the torn ACL, I don't
worry about that. I think the reason you're drafting him in this format is for those game logs.
Yes.
No, I don't know, because what if
I'll just say this. I didn't say this last time. You're right. The situation if you're just looking at those 4 games should be better because of Kellen Moore, because of Olave, because of Shaheed. Should be better, right? And I did say this last time. Like that probably gives him some more carries. So maybe it balances out a little bit. But where you're drafting him, you shouldn't even be expecting 17 points per game. If you get that, it's a huge bonus.
For sure. But
you're drafting him in this range for 14 plus points per game. So if the numbers get shifted around a little bit, the targets move to the receivers. And look, they were still throwing 2 guys there. So it's not like it was just, there's no Olave, there's no Shaheed. We're only throwing to Kamara. I don't know what the rest of the game log looks like and who was getting opportunities there. I know MVS had his few games in that stretch. Juwan Johnson, whatever the case may be. But I just think like my expectations for Kamara in PPR, and it's only PPR. I mean, obviously going to have his scoring potential in 9.5, but I want this. This is why I'm drafting this guy, because he is 80 catches and he's going to have opportunities like this because they're trailing. I just want to the Taysom Hill point. Yes, he doesn't have that guy to share with. My fear is with Dennis Allen gone, does Kendre Miller get a better chance? And more importantly, Devin Neal, does he get a better chance to take Kamara at 30 off the field? Now, I asked Kellen Moore at the owners' meetings about any concern that at his age, are you going to, limit his workload? He said absolutely not. And so if that holds and he's still playing his usual allotment of snaps, then these are going to be these type of performances for him. So again, if I was expecting 17 plus, I'd be drafting him in round 3 or sooner. I'm expecting 14 to 15 because of age and situation and all these things. But this is why you look for him at the 4-5 turn. This is why, if you find him in round 5, it's a huge plus. Round 4, I think, is going to be his sweet spot.
Also, Adam, there's a whole career track record to look at with Alvin Kamara. You can, if what he did in those games without Olave and Shaheed was an anomaly to his entire career, then of course we could say, oh yeah, there's going to be a pullback there. He's not going to catch as many passes. Look at his entire career.
No. The thing is, in those games, really the only thing he did was catch passes,
and that's what he's done for a chunk of his career. Like, in addition to getting more carries, every running back, when his team's behind by 2+ scores, they're going to have single-digit runs. But Kamara's been getting catches literally since like the 4th game of his career.
So he was on pace for 85 catches in those games, right? I feel like
that's a little high. I'll agree, but 70 is absolutely reasonable to expect.
Yeah, it's just if it's 70 catches, and I think it could be more than that. I think it could be 85.
It could be.
He was on pace for 84 for the season. I don't know. It's just attaching yourself to maybe the worst offense in football in the 4th round is a little scary for me. And by the way, I think Alvin Kamara and Ken Walker right now for me are the 2 toughest players. Like I'm not trying to argue you just to be a jerk. I just think that I really struggle with Kamara because I see everything you guys are saying. But this will be the worst offense of his career. And by the way, he's 30, and he's been an inefficient, kind of lousy running back for 4 years now.
But he does one thing really well, and in this format, it works.
Agreed.
What round are you drafting Malik Neighbors in?
It's so funny, Dave. The first thing I was thinking of when he said bad offense, Malik Neighbors is a top 10 pick.
Yeah, there's 2 Raiders that have an ADP of the first.
Well, and by the way, remember last year people were going, should we really be taking 2 Jets in the 1st round? And they were both enormous busts. So now I don't think Wilson would have been an enormous bust if Adams had not been acquired. But Breece Hall was a huge bust. So I get that. Neighbors is not someone I haven't drafted Neighbors yet, by the way. And because I do think he's terrific, but I also think he's on the worst offense of all of the wide receivers we're taking that round. That's a big deal to me. I get you. Hey, this is the push and pull of fantasy. Like all these points for, all these points against.
Right.
These
The whole reason why we talk about it is so that everybody listening can make decisions for their teams.
All right, Dave. Let's get to Jayden Daniels going 47th in CBS.
That's a gift.
Yeah.
Look, I'm one of those people. I don't like to reach for quarterbacks at all. I don't know what he's doing going this late.
It's like,
Is he there in Fantasy Pros as well?
Nah, he's 30th in football guys, and he is
That's way more realistic.
33rd in foot. Are you good to hit with Jayden Daniels 33rd?
I think that's fair. Yeah, I would take him around that range. I would take any of the top 3 quarterbacks in that early 30th overall type of range.
Emeka Egbuka 112th overall, and this one I do think is pretty spot on.
And I can't help but have this feeling that he's going to end up mattering this year in a significant way. And it's easy to say now because Chris Godwin appears to not be ready for the start of training camp. And Mike Evans is an elder statesman on Tampa's offense. This is another player that I'm going to see in joint practices. And I have a feeling that he's going to end up being a bigger contributor than we can all think about in Tampa's offense this year. And so getting him in practically round 10, that is round 10. Just draft him, put him on your bench, wait and see what happens. Even better to do it if you draft Evans or Godwin earlier on draft day.
I think the comparison that scares me with JSN is Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. With Egbuka is JSN.
Sure. Because it's the exact same scenario, right? When JSN got drafted to Seattle, he was behind, theoretically, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, and his numbers were never great as a rookie. Took a year.
He only had 93 targets.
Right. I do think this offense is better than what JSN was in his rookie year.
I just looked now. They had the 2023 Seahawks threw 575 passes. The 2024 Buccaneers threw 571. All right, next up, we've got Jared Goff and Drake Maye going 126th and 100.
Hold up. Were we drafting JSN in the 100 range as a rookie?
Yeah, I'll check for you right now. So that was.
I'm pretty sure we did not. I think he went earlier than this.
He went 98th in Fantasy Pros.
Okay. That's still a full round plus ahead of where Egbuka's going now.
Okay, you got 2 quarterbacks going late. You got Goff and Drake Maye. They're going in round 11.
Yeah, I still love Goff as a top 12 fantasy quarterback. He might not be very sexy, and I don't think he'll be quite as good as he was last year. Think of him as one of those quarterbacks that can average north of 22 fantasy points per game in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues, but under 25. Still has great weapons around him. I ended up liking the Lions defense more than I thought I would when I studied them. So there could be some games where he doesn't throw a ton, and generally he doesn't throw a ton anyway. But I still think for the value of border round 10, round 11, for a guy who could start for your fantasy team, that's a name you can keep in mind if you miss any of the big quarterbacks early on draft day. And you could pair him with Drake Maye, who's going in that same range. Maye has huge upside because he runs. I think he's got a cannon for an arm. If he can harness his arm a little bit more, be a little bit more accurate, and I think having Diggs in the middle of the field will help him there, he could end up paying off in a major way. You can get both these guys. Throw Trevor Lawrence in this mix. Lawrence has huge upside. There are a lot of quarterbacks that I just love after 100th overall. Jamie had a couple on his list. I've got a couple on mine. It's not going to hurt you if you whiff on one of the top 5 or 6 quarterbacks on draft day.
Absolutely. What I find so interesting is that it's Caleb Williams. It just seems to have ascended above all of these guys that you mentioned, Goff and Maye and so who you just talking about?
I'd rather have Goff, Fields, and Dak than Caleb at this point.
Well, Dak is ahead of all them too for the most part, but Caleb, of all the sort of unproven guys that we're hoping take a leap, Caleb just seems to have lapped. Bo Nix is ahead of everyone, but yes. He was better. He was a lot better than Caleb Williams last year.
Yeah. Caleb
gets drafted, around 100th overall. People are expecting more from him than the others. And I get it.
Based on hope.
Yeah. I don't think it's wrong. I just think it's interesting.
Well, I think Maye has been one of the bigger risers for me since the offseason. So he's actually back to back with Goff. I have Goff at 14 and Maye at 15, and that's a move I'm ready to make. And I could see myself putting Maye at 13 ahead of Purdy if the 49ers receiving core continues to be a mess. So the running upside for Maye is clearly evident based on what he showed. And I know Adam will push back with his yards per carry and how incredible it was, and that'll come down. But I think that's where the passing numbers sort of offset that. The schedule is going to be fantastic, and the play calling should be much better. So there's a lot to like about Drake Maye's situation. That's one where I struggle with is Maye versus Caleb and Kyler, because right now Caleb's at 11 for me, Kyler's at 12. I love the fact that Kyler's going to run more. So what I'll probably end up doing, I may do it today, is put Kyler at 11, Maye at 12, and Caleb at 13. And just the potential of Drake Maye. And look, we've had some guests on, and I know we've had some conversations. In 4-point for passing touchdown leagues, Drake Maye is getting drafted as a top 12 quarterback. In 6 points is where you see a little bit of the value is different. But I think like for me, like I just get so excited about the potential of what Drake Maye could be after what he showed in those 10 healthy games last year, where he was just over 21 points per game. I think he could live there this season, which puts him in the top 12.
And big whoop if he ends up flaming out, because you're taking him with such a late pick. You can find another quarterback off the waiver wire. You're probably going to draft another quarterback with Drake Maye. Just these are the easiest picks to earmark on draft day.
Oh, this position just looks so good, man.
Yeah, we say that every year, but I don't know how you guys feel, but I feel like this year especially, you can make the case for like 20 different guys who could be your starting quarterback week 1.
I don't think we say this I think the last few years, as I recall, it felt like quarterback's always deep. You're always gonna be able to find someone off the waiver wire, but those elite ones at the top, you know, they have a lot more value. They seem like separated from the pack. This year, yeah, like they're still great, but I do feel like we are kind of framing it like it's deeper than it's been in a long time. And I guess it's a little bit unproven, though, right? I mean, a lot of the guys that were saying,
there's quarterbacks that come out of nowhere every year,
right? But a lot of the guys that were saying, oh, you can draft this guy to be a week 1 starter, Caleb Williams, Drake Maye, they weren't good enough to warrant that last year. We are hoping Trevor Lawrence. We're hoping for.
But this is where I think the fun part of it is, because if like you're waiting for these guys on draft day, you know, you're playing the game of if someone will take them as their second quarterback, because the fantasy managers that buy into the upside and already have the Bo Nix, Baker Mayfield, maybe Mahomes because of his last couple of years, and they take the second guy. But you can easily take the upside play of Caleb or Maye or still Kyler, in my opinion, Trevor Lawrence. You know, I don't think he's going to go ahead of those guys, and then pair them with Goff, or pair them with Purdy, or pair them with, if you still believe in Herbert as a elite fantasy quarterback, or Tua, you know, a year removed from leading the NFL in passing yards. Like, there's so many ways to go. Stafford, you know, who's going to give you a decent floor. Jordan Love, CJ Stroud. Like, it's just so many guys. I get why you want Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jayden Daniels. They're awesome, and hopefully will be awesome again. But it's always the, you know, you talk about the push and pull of it. Like, what are you giving up in those rounds to take those quarterbacks? And if they don't hit, like Mahomes the last 2 years has left a lot of people extremely frustrated. What if Daniels does regress and has the CJ Stroud sophomore season, which I hope is not the case? You know, so there's different ways to go. But for me, like, I always will wait on the position.
Okay, last guy on the list is J.K. Dobbins for Dave, who is
135th. What's his Fantasy Pros ADP? Is it anywhere near there?
So I actually looked at his NFC ADP, because on Fantasy Pros and Football Guys, Dobbins is about 120 to 128 or something, so a round or two ahead. On NFC ADP, which is the high stakes leagues, I can set a date range. So I looked over the last 16, 17 days, and J.K. Dobbins is going 110th overall. So 111.
I still like that value, because I think he's got a chance to be the best running back in Denver. I wouldn't say that it's a slam dunk. I'm not promising that that's going to happen. RJ Harvey is obviously there, and younger, healthier, faster. But I think Dobbins is there to play on passing downs first and foremost. It wouldn't surprise me if early on he cut into Harvey's workload on running downs. And if Harvey struggles at any point, Dobbins is going to be the one that'll play until he inevitably misses time. So low risk, getting him after 100th overall is great. And there's upside for him to be an RB2.
He was one of the steals of last year's draft. Let's see. So where's he going now? Let's call it 120.
I would take him before 100th overall.
Dobbins was going 132nd overall last year, according to Fantasy Pros.
Mhm.
All right. Let's get some emails in here at fantasyfootball@cbs.com.
Just two things real quick that I don't think you touched on. James Cook, excuse me. I was going to say Jared Cook. James Cook is reporting to Bills camp,
Okay.
but
Okay.
there is speculation that he may not practice
Hold in.
as he waits for a potential new deal. So something to keep an eye on there. And Commanders owner, at least Commanders for now, touched on Terry McLaurin's situation. He said, expects him to be here. First, without a doubt, I think everybody in this building values Terry very much. We knew that coming in, and we know that even more of spending a year with him. We'll do whatever we can to get a deal done. We're having some good conversations, and we'll continue to do so. And then he talked about holdouts. He said that's just the nature of our business. This is Adam Peters again. Obviously, he'd like to get these things done quicker, but it doesn't always happen that way. We're dealing with, in the case of Terry, a really good player and a really good person. There's going to be twists and turns, but having that confidence and understanding that our goal is getting a long-term deal done. So just keeping our focus on that. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see these hold-ins. McLaurin, Cook, Juwan Jennings, like the track record the last couple of years has not been good.
No. I just wonder. I wonder if McLaurin starts falling in ADP, if Daniels will as well. I don't think so.
I don't think so, but I do think Debo will rise, and I think maybe Zach Ertz will rise too.
Mm-hmm. All right, email here from, by the way, Terry McLaurin does not deserve elite wide receiver money. There, I said it. I'm actually so tired of these players holding in when they don't. Like James Cook, too. James Cook's, what did he say? He wanted like $15 million a year or something like that?
Well, I mean, I think you're the best podcast host in the business. You should think that of yourself as well. When your contract is up, you should want the most money of any podcast host out there.
Right, but I don't. I don't think I'm the best podcast host, and even if I did,
that's bad negotiating on your part. Like you should,
Right.
I'm realistic.
You should
I'm
highest
honest.
of yourself and go get as much as you can.
Yeah, well, look,
That's why I should be your agent.
What's your percentage that you're going to take from his salary, Jamie?
Because I love Adam, I just take 1%.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Here's an
I
email.
don't negotiate a $10 million deal for him.
Email from who do we got here? We've got, what's your name? What is your name? I don't know your name. Dave, what's his name and city?
Bob from Providence, Rhode Island.
Bob. Hey, Cooper, Julian, Vaughn, and Malcolm. Oh, I think he said these are the last 4 non-quarterback Super Bowl MVPs.
Did
First,
you see the audio came out of the rest from the Seahawks-Patriots game?
No.
One says the other goes, I can't believe they didn't throw it there with Marshawn.
I
can't believe they threw it there when they had Marshawn.
So funny.
It's
All
true.
He says,
we're still saying it now, all these years later.
I must express my disagreement with Dan's airplane take. Window seat gets the window and a decent sleeping spot. Aisle seat gets a bit of extra leg room and easy bathroom access. Middle seat gets 2 armrests. Those are the rules. We're living in a society. And I think you're right here.
3 and 270 pounds.
I think he's right. Window is the worst, or aisle's the worst seat. Middle is the worst seat. Sorry. You give him the 2 armrests. Now, here's the question.
Can you like see how that played itself out? Like Dan just elbowing the person next to him.
No. Whenever a receiver goes to a new team, there's always a discussion about how that new wide receiver will affect the other wide receivers on that team. Sometimes we assume that the extra mouth to feed will take targets away from existing wide receivers, but sometimes we expect that the new receiver will draw defensive attention away from the existing wide receiver and open up more opportunities, like Pickens going to Dallas. Are we worried about Lamb because Pickens is going to take away targets, or is Pickens going to open things up for Lamb? Same with Kupp in going to Seattle. What is your opinion on this, guys?
Really more worried about Jonathan Mingo.
It's a good question. Does the new receiver help or hurt? And I lean, if anything, I lean hurt. Definitely not help.
Yeah,
I would also, but I think you're looking at, again, what did the team do around those guys, right? Like, there's no Brandon Cooks still in Dallas for what that's worth. I think what Pickens does, like he takes those Cook opportunities, he takes the Jalen Tolbert opportunities, he takes away from Jake Ferguson, and then you look at, you just said it, Dak Prescott averaged 37 passes per game. There's enough for these guys to still eat and be successful. So does CeeDee Lamb still average 23 plus PPR points per game when he was at his peak in 2023 when Dak was healthy? Probably not, but he could still be north of 20 easily, which is why he's my second favorite receiver this year behind Chase. I like him better than Jefferson. So there's enough of this opportunity here in particular. So like, look at Diggs last year going to Houston, right? There were moving parts with that offense, and they needed somebody to come in and be really a second receiver. I think Christian Kirk this year going there, like that doesn't hurt Nico Collins.
No, it doesn't hurt him based on last year, but I do think you could have argued that Stefon Diggs would have hurt Nico Collins because he took so many targets. It ended up really hurting Tank Dell. And I think that's based on the research I've done. It's not the studs, right? And I did research for this question. It's not the studs that get hurt. But I will give you one example of like Devontae Adams going to Las Vegas really actually hurt Darren Waller. His target per out run rate went from 24.3% to 17.5%.
But you also added a Hall of Famer. Right.
I was going to say, this isn't like Pickens. This would be like Lamb joining Pickens. Trying to look up right now.
Like Tyreek joining the Dolphins.
Tyreek. So here's what I'm going to do with Tyreek. I'm going to look at him right now. And he did, by the way, really hurt Jalen Waddle.
Yeah.
But would Jalen Waddle have hurt? Now, did he hurt Jalen Waddle? He hurt Jalen Waddle's targets. He did not hurt his production the first year.
There was also a new coach coming in, a new system too.
Yes, that is true. I'm going to look at his. All right, we'll come back to this. I'm going to look at Tyreek Hill's target per route run rate with Waddle on the field and with Waddle off the field, because I think that's kind of like Lamb and Pickens. Best example I could give. All right, let's go to our next questions from Keegan from the north side of the Juan de Fuca Strait, which is in the Pacific Ocean somewhere. I'd never heard of it. The Hampton Najee situation is giving me deja vu of when Derrick Henry first came into the league and played behind DeMarco Murray. Do you see it that maybe it might take a season or even two before Hampton is a true bell cow?
It's possible, but I don't think it's like super likely that it's going to take 2 seasons or even half of 1 season, because I think ultimately Najee's got solid talent, but Omarion Hampton gives them something different. He's more explosive. He can play on 3 downs. Najee can too. Hampton should be better than Najee at this point. And the fact that Hampton now has a chance to showcase himself, he's been working as RB1 at the start of training camp for the Chargers. Chargers veterans have been practicing already. Najee's not there because of the incident on July 4th. Now Omarion Hampton has a chance to show this coaching staff, hey, I can be that guy for you right off the bat. You don't even need Najee to do anything more than just give me a rest every now and then, or to play certain downs and distances and use me instead. And we saw this coaching staff veer away from mediocre talent at running back last year and lean into, it was Dobbins who was their best running back. They started giving, once they realized that Gus Edwards was terrible, they just leaned into Dobbins, and Dobbins was their guy until he got hurt. So I think it could happen a lot sooner than we initially thought with Hampton.
I got some pretty fun stats for you here. Tyreek Hill target per route run rate with Jalen Waddle on the field, 30.5%, 31%, 22.4%. Target per route run rate with Waddle.
22.4% was last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, I think we have to almost throw out last year when it comes to the Dolphins passing game. So
in 3 years, I'll just round up or down. Target per route run rate with Waddle on the field for Tyreek Hill, 31%, 31%, 22%. With him off the field, 41%, 46%, 25%. A huge difference the first 2 years. I mean, look at that. With him off the field, target per route run rate over 41%. Last year, Puka Nacua led in this metric with like 38%.
That's 2 out of every 5 throws.
And last year, his target per route run rate was 2.2% higher with Waddle off the field. So I do think that could go down for CeeDee Lamb. Not by a huge amount, but could go down. All right. Sorry. So back to the questions here. Thank you for that good question, Keegan. How about Dino from North Carolina? What if the number 2 wide receivers and handcuff running backs became number 1? How would your top 20 look? Would Higgins, Waddle, Mason, Davis, where would they be? If I guess all the starters got hurt and the wide receiver 2s became 1s and the RB 2s became 1s, what would your top 20 look like? You don't have to give me 20 players, but what do you think? What would change the most?
Wow.
Tyler Algier would get a big bump.
Yeah.
They all would get a big
A
bump.
big bump.
Who would be the best?
Who would be the best? Charbonnet.
Yeah.
Charbonnet's really proven it. Yeah.
T. Higgins could be wide receiver 1 in this scenario.
Will Shipley.
Devontae Smith would be awesome.
Devontae Smith would be great.
awesome. Yeah.
Fun
Ray
idea.
Davis.
What if show?
Yeah, this is.
Oh my
Jalen
God.
Wright.
Sam Howell, QB1. Jalen Milrow. That's not a joke though.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
Not QB1, but he'd be in the top 12
no.
conversation.
Yeah, he'd get drafted for show.
I think it would affect the tight ends a lot too, like Goddard and Hawkinson.
Oh, likely.
Like
Isaiah
If
likely. would
Zay
be-
Flowers went out, you're saying?
No,
Yeah.
Mark Andrews.
No, well, I wasn't even doing that. I was just saying if the wide receiver 1 went out, which tight ends would benefit? Because I think that's a big,
Oh,
like Gesicki, remember?
Sure.
yeah. I mean, you love referencing the numbers for Kelsey when Rice's not there.
Yeah, which is going to happen for maybe 5 or 6 games.
Hawkinson, my gosh.
Right? Yeah. Fun. Yeah. The other question is, what if the Colts use Tyler Warren?
Darren Waller.
Darren Waller. What if the Colts use Tyler Warren like the Saints use Taysom Hill? Would that change Jonathan Taylor's rankings?
I bet they do it on 1 play this year. But if they did it for 10 plays this year, that would impact Jonathan Taylor. But I'm not expecting that to happen. Because why would you take the ball out of Jonathan Taylor's hands at the goal line?
Did I tell you guys about the Mike is dismayed that Heath is dissing Maye tracker? I think I may have. This is
What?
Mike who donated $1,000 just so he can argue with Heath about Drake May.
Wow, that's generous.
Heath doesn't like Drake May.
He's not high enough on Drake May, according to Mike, who's a Patriots fan. So he wrote a whole email. When Heath gets back from vacation next week, I'm going to read it.
We need to have Mike on the show. We need that debate.
We could.
My upcoming rankings boost for Drake May should have got us another couple $100.
Yes. But if anybody wants to do something like that, approve it with me first. Don't make the donation because I can't make you any promises. But you can write an email and say, hey, I want to donate to St. Jude so I can say this on the air. Like we'll partake. Like it's all about raising money for an amazing cause. All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern, youtube.com/fantasyfootball today. Live stream with the mock draftathon. We'll talk to you then. See ya.